Morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock, so we'll get started. It's so great to see you all. It was wonderful to see so many of you at the launch, and we're really excited about getting together again in January for our next meeting. Today, we are having a couple special speakers with us, but Mindy Wilson, who is the program manager for the college coaches, is going to be our facilitator today. So I'm going to turn it over to Mindy. Welcome, Mindy.
Excellent. Thank you. Hey, everybody. It's nice to see you again. And it was so nice to see you last week and meet some of you for the first time. So we're going to get started right away because our guests have to be somewhere at 11. So this month's training will include a discussion about working with first-gen college students from high school to college graduation. We have Sarah Scott, the Associate Dean and Director of the Grissom Scholars Program at Center College, and Alex Wright, the Assistant Director of the Grissom Scholars Program, also at Center College. They're going to lead our discussion today. And just to give you a quick rundown about what the Grissom Scholars Program is, I'm sure Sarah and Alex will mention it more, but it is a full tuition scholarship program to support first-generation college students at Center College. So they work a lot with first-gen students, both in the admissions process and then once they get to college. So I'm going to leave it to them to introduce themselves more if they'd like, or just jump into it.
Sunny Jacob Hobbs out of
and if you are if you're not muted, please mute yourself. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So as Mindy said, my name is Sarah Scott. I am a director of the Grissom Scholars Program. We actually have three programs for first generation students on campus, and we recently became an office. So the first gen office, so we're really excited about that. I've been at Center for 21 years and doing this particular role for 10 years. And before I throw it over to Alex to introduce himself, I just want to give a big thank you to all of you and the really important work you do. It is valued, and I'm sure you're told by the team how much you're valued, but we in the community really value you too. So thank you for your work. Alex.
Good morning, everyone. Alex Wright from Cumberland Gap, Tennessee. I was actually a Grissom Scholar myself. I recently graduated this past May, and now I'm working with the program as the assistant director. But yeah, I'm really excited to share some information that we have, and hopefully this will be helpful for everyone.
So we'll jump right in, and I just want to say I really love audience participation, especially over Zoom, because it can be brutal to just sit there and watch people speak. So we'll be asking some questions, not hard questions, but please participate as you wish, okay? So our plan today, since you're from a variety of environments, some in high school, some in college, we're hoping to walk you through the process of applying to colleges, being in college, looking towards graduation through the lens of a first generation student. So hopefully we'll provide information that will touch on all of your areas at some point. But before we jump in, we throw around first gen all the time, but what does that mean? Anybody? You get a gold star if you shoot it out. I see Cheryl waving.
Thank you very much. First generation student, neither parent has graduated from college.
Yes, thank you for participating again.
You're welcome. Let me mute my mic again.
Pardon me?
I'm going to mute my mic again.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
And actually, that was a little bit of a trick question. So you are correct. And also, there are multiple definitions. So it can be that, it can be other things. We at Center use the definition that the Common App has. So we define first generation as any student whose parent did not graduate from a 4-year college. So parents or guardians who graduate from, have their associate's degree, still qualify as first generation. Parents or guardians who attended a 4-year college and didn't graduate are still considered first gen. And siblings who have attended and maybe graduated from a 4-year college, the student is still considered first gen. So we have chosen to adopt the broadest definition, but I think it's really important to realize that schools use different definitions. So as you're working with students, that may be something they want to investigate to see if they qualify. It is getting muddier, just to be prepared for the future, because it can be, there's students who in essence are first generation. Maybe their parents got a degree from were remote students at a college, online school. And is that the same thing? Can they still help their children in the same way? And so there are some limits, and it gets really muddy really fast. But for our purposes, we're going to define it in a broad sense, like the Common App does. So as we get started, and Alex and I are going to just bounce off each other, for those of you in high schools or those of you in college who have ideas, since first generation, that identity is invisible. You don't automatically know. We can make assumptions one way or the other and be incorrect. How do you identify students in your world who are first gen or college? How do you identify those students? How do you reach them? And maybe you're doing this already, or you just have an idea. And I see in the chat, let's see. Bob says they use a permission form.
Did you have something, Tabitha?
Let's see.
I think you're muted.
So Tabitha, you're muted if you're trying to talk.
I was so really into that too. I was like, why is nobody not responding to me? During orientation, we actually pass out a questionnaire. So I interact with a lot of students from high school, that are transitioning into college. We have this questionnaire in the downtime, and we pass around and we tell them it's optional if they want to answer it. They normally answer it, and it addresses the mother and the father's educational status. So, and then I tell them that there's, we address more than that, but we go to all the departments, whether it be military families or not. So if they check yes or no to certain questionnaires, then I put it into a data system, and then we actually reach out to those students, because I work with first generation here at the Ashland Community and Technical College. So.
Fantastic. I see a lot of people use surveys and questionnaires, and that's great to allow the students to identify themselves. And sometimes, I don't know if you all have found this, but sometimes I've found students who didn't realize they were first generation, just didn't realize that was a thing until they saw the definition. So I'm reading in the chat. And asking for permission is always great. What I tend to do as well after we've gotten the information to students, I never send an email. Sorry about that. I never send an email that has everyone's name on it. I blind copy the students just in case they don't want their identity spread. That's their business. We also invite them to events. And again, if they want to come, great. If they don't, great, it's their choice. But other ways, let's see, career family trees. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, and Kayla says had students who didn't think they were first generation because parents had associate's degree. Yeah, it can be really confusing. Another thing that you can do is to create a club. We have a student club here at Center, the Center First Club, and again, students can opt in or not. But in the advertisement for the club, we include the definition of first gen, and that clues some people in. Oh, that's me, and they can come and really get a sense of belonging, deal with the things like imposter syndrome that I'm sure you all are familiar with or have talked about, and just find some support. Alex, is there anything else you want to add about that?
Yeah, just kind of like Mindy said in the comments, like I had no idea I was a first generation student. I just never thought about it. I was just happy to be applying to colleges and be in that opportunity. But I almost missed out on a lot of scholarship opportunities because of that. So I think it is really important to be talking about that and to be having that identity at the forefront, especially when you're applying to colleges.
Right. And also, if you have an opportunity or a bulletin board to advertise first gen scholarships, and there's a lot of money being poured into it. It's become a thing nationwide. A lot of scholarships out there available for students. So to help them understand that that this identity could really help them pay for college in some instances. All right. I see a lot of requests for permissions. That is wonderful. I've heard from some people, and this was a few years back, so I think people are more sensitive now. Some high school counselors who've made assumptions one way or the other, and when that's done, it can be quite hurtful. So I would just caution to never assume one way or the other. All right, great. So how many people, just by a show of hands, are helping students apply to colleges right now through the Common App or other means? So I'm seeing a few folks. It is a stressful time for students. I'm curious, those who are working with students on the Common App or other applications with first generation students, what tips do you have for helping first generation students with the Common App? And then we'll go through some really, hopefully, practical tips that you can pass along to your students. Anybody have a tip? Or you can write it in the chat too.
I have a poster. This is Jasmine. I have a poster on my wall in my room that kind of helps me know what schools take the Common App. And then I also kind of remind myself from recent applications that I may have done with students that take the Common App now that's not on the map, like University of Louisville is not on the map, but they do the Common App now. And so I did find that a lot easier to be able to have there. And also we do a Google form for the senior class. And in that form, it's help for application, but I put on there what are the schools that they want to apply to. So I kind of prepare myself for when I call them down, what schools they're applying for. And I check to see if they're on the Common App. And if they're not, then we'll go from there, obviously. But that does help kind of prepare in advance.
Great. Yeah, I think visually seeing options can really help reassure people. It's the process of applying to college is overwhelming these days for even the most prepared student, for the student who has tremendous resources. But it's even more of just a black hole of mystery for most first generation students. So I see in the chat, so there's a suggestion to have at least 2 other people read the essays. That's fantastic. We sometimes read essays where students have just entered the Common App on their phone, and it's just a paragraph or something. It's not really fleshed out, and a lot of students don't realize how important that essay is, both in content and to be, grammatically correct and well-formed. And someone says apply to all the colleges you're interested in. That's huge. That is absolutely huge, especially for first generation students, because, well, for multiple reasons. You don't know what package you're going to get back. So I would encourage you all to talk with your students about ignoring the sticker price of schools. And that message is really hard to get across. Has anybody heard that advice? Okay, it's really a shell game in admission and in higher education in our nation right now, and it makes me very frustrated. But often the schools that cost the most on paper cost the least for students who have high financial need. So often the schools who are the most expensive have more financial aid to give, more scholarships to give. So it really is important, and students are very surprised. Applying to center, we have a giant price tag on paper. So it's around 60,000 total on paper, and students just laugh. They're like, my parents don't make that much. Like, are you kidding me? But the actual average price is 18,000. And it goes down to nothing for many people, especially first gen students. So it's really, really misleading. So to apply to many schools and just see what you get back is very, very important. So there's a plug for NKU. Everybody read that. Application fee has been waived. And more and more schools are free to apply. So that's important for students to know as well. And let's see, I'm reading the chat. Okay. And a thought map to help students organize the schools they want to apply and then create a goal to accomplish the application. So that's fantastic, because there are thousands literally of options, and it can be paralyzing to know where to apply. There just is not enough time to clearly apply to all that you want to. Essay workshops and okay, love having colleges visit to explain private schools. Yeah, I think there's a turnoff, and Alex, jump in here as well. But what I've seen is there's a turnoff with just emotionally from students from schools that have big sticker prices, but also assumptions that I'm not going to fit in, or I'm not going to be comfortable there, or whatever. And so I think it's really important to dive deeper into the schools and see what's your percentage first gen students. Do you have any resources available? And increasingly, all schools are becoming higher in percentage of first gen. We're at 21 or 22% right now, and consistently growing, because those are the students who are graduating from college. So the pipeline, even though the pipeline of high school graduates is getting smaller, the percentage of that pipeline of first generation students is getting larger. Alex, what would you add?
Yeah, I'll just add that, like, nationwide, around 30% of college students are first generation. And this is a weird way to think about it, but it really is trending upwards right now. And a lot of colleges are seeking out scholarships and more financial aid towards these demographics, just mostly because the first generation captures a lot of like the lower socioeconomic status and a lot of the diversity status that these colleges can bring into their schools. So it really is a great opportunity for your students to get a lot of financial aid and have a spot at these, more private institutions.
Yeah, and we found that cohort programs are particularly helpful for first generation students, so they can go through the 4 years together with a small group of other students. It's just a really nice support to have all your way through. Actually, I wish every student had a cohort they could go through college with. A couple other tips for the folks who are helping students apply to college right now. Applying early really helps, especially filling out the FAFSA early can really help. The FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, is daunting sometimes, and often first generation students are the ones filling it out themselves instead of mom or dad or guardian filling it out. And so they can sometimes really use some extra support with the FAFSA, or to have an evening where you bring in admission counselors from a school in your area and have them explain the FAFSA and help answer questions can be really, really beneficial. One thing that I see first generation students do a lot on common applications is they leave out the question about why are you applying to this school. So, they're applying to Transy, for instance, and they don't answer that question. That's I'm getting into the nitty gritty, but as an admission reader, I'll tell you all, that's a really important question for students to fill out, just to acknowledge they know anything about the school. So please help them fill out that entire Common App as much as possible. Another thing that first generation students can tend to undersell themselves in activities. So on the Common App and other applications for college, it is great for students to put paid jobs. So if a student works at Taco Bell 20 hours a week, that's really impressive. And sometimes first generation students I talk to think that's not what colleges want to see. No, we do want to see that, because that shows a lot of grit. It shows they can juggle a lot. It's a wonderful thing. Also, family care is really important to put. So if this student is taking care of younger siblings a tremendous percentage of the week, that's really impressive to put. So don't let them dismiss that in the activities section. There's whatever takes up their time is important to put. Let's get back to the chat really quickly.
I'll just add real quick for the question about like why apply to this school. Literally just like going to the school's website and looking at like what majors and like programs they have, if they have a good study abroad program, if they have like an interesting club or something, and then mentioning that and like why I'm applying to this school like makes such a big difference. Like it really shows that the student is like making a commitment to that school and they've literally done like the most basic research, and admissions counselors really love that.
Great. And Nathan asked a good question. For a student who has a parent with a 4-year degree who may not be in the picture, how should that student and high school coaches understand the definition of first gen? I can just tell you how we define that student. We would define that student as a first gen student. So if the student doesn't have access to someone in their immediate household that can help them through the college process, they're defined as first gen. So I think it's dependent on colleges. So it's okay to talk with those high school students about, yes, you can qualify as a first generation student. Some places, let's check it out. You can always call someone in admission. That's probably the easiest way to get an answer for that student about the colleges they're interested in. But yeah, it does get murky. And let's see. And Bob writes, there's a question on the FAFSA that addresses first gen and 2. Okay. So any other tips about applying to college? I know that this is the time of year you're in deep. I just want to offer, feel free to contact me or Alex if you have a student you're working with, first gen or not, actually, who has questions about the college process. We really love to help high school students and don't push center. You know, I offer to help any student regardless of where they want to go. I'm happy to help. So please reach out to us and we'll help you all we can. And Mindy included my email. Thank you, Mindy. All right, I'm going to throw it over to Alex. So now they've applied. We're going through the process kind of quickly. And what's next?
Yeah, so actually getting into choosing a college, this might seem a little obvious, but I think one of the most important things, especially for first generation students, is to actually visit the college itself and like be able to see themselves on that campus. I think for a lot of college, like especially first generation students, it can be difficult and like very daunting to see that this prestigious institution or this large institution with thousands of students, and like it's hard to know like what your place is there. So actually going and visiting that campus and like talking to a admissions counselor, that can make like all the difference for like being more comfortable with a place. And especially even for like admissions counselors, it looks really good to show that you're putting that effort forward and you're like wanting to visit the campus and see it, and they can put a face to the name, which is a really big deal for financial packages and that. Also, a lot of colleges have great voucher programs. So if you contact them and you schedule a visit, you could ask them if they have any vouchers. And like Center, for example, they'll pay for travel to the college, and they can even pay for like lodging in sometimes. So it's always important to ask about visit vouchers to see if they have any important events going on, or even any potential like scholarship fairs where students could come and get a lot of great information and kind of have their face be known at that campus. And sometimes it could be free for them to even visit. Moving past that, like for the financial package, it's really important. And I know like negotiating is kind of a weird thing that you only do when you're buying a car, but this is one of those cases where negotiating is really important. And it's not going to, if you do it the right way, it's not going to come off negatively. And it's as simple as asking, I really want to come to your college. I really can see myself here. I love working with you, but this financial package needs to be a little bit better for me. I'm not currently at a financial situation where I can handle this. Is there anything you can do for me? And a lot of times that admission counselor that's been working to recruit you, get you at the college, they'll try to find you some extra aid, and they'll really throw around some money to help you, you know, come to the college and get that extra aid and kind of help your financial package. Past that, I think a lot of students miss out on opportunities for scholarships that are outside of the college. Like there's a lot of great scholarships. Like I think McDonald's has a fantastic scholarship program that students can apply to. And there's a lot of other organizations that are wanting to give out scholarships for philanthropy. So there's lots of opportunities out there. So I'd always encourage students to like do the research and like look to see what all there is. Sarah, do you have anything to add about those outside opportunities?
Yeah, so there's some other good comprehensive scholarship platforms where you can search for an outside scholarship or even an in-school scholarship. One of my favorites is called Going Merry, and I'm going to put it in the chat here. It's really comprehensive. It's a great resource. There's also Raise Me that students can sign up and get financial money for college, depending on what activities they've completed and all that stuff. I would, a word of caution, please don't encourage students to pay for a scholarship search platform. There are a lot of predatory platforms out there. I mean, I'm sure they do help some people, but they don't help a lot of people, and really there's no need to pay for a scholarship search platform, in my opinion, as of today. So let me read this question. Another Going Mary fan, yay. Yeah, online programs are becoming more and more prevalent, and they can be really flexible for students who need that flexibility, or who don't want to move away or can't move away. Say they have a child, or they're helping taking care of someone in their family. So that, I would say, is trickier. And because some online schools are unaccredited, so make sure school has accreditation, so the student's money just doesn't be wasted, because sometimes the unaccredited schools close really quickly. They don't get an excellent education. So we want that guarantee that they've been peer reviewed and verified to be a good education and ethical institution and that sort of thing. Sometimes students think they want to start online and then they'll transfer. Transferring, just for everybody, can be tricky, because not all of your credits will follow you. So it does take some research to make sure. Don't let students just assume that all their classes they're taking can transfer to another class. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Shelley, for putting in the links in the chat. But other online schools, and there's some excellent ones that, depending on the program students are interested in. So a little bit of research goes a long way. I would say for online schools, most of the time students need to know what they're really interested in and stick with that, because it's really difficult to switch back and forth with majors and things, particularly with online schools. You can also call. I know people don't like calling folks these days, but really that's the fastest way to get information. And the online schools have admission counselors just like everyone else. So I think calling could really help. Maybe put the admission counselor on speakerphone while you're in there with the student, so you can both ask questions. All right. Another tip for students when applying is to wait to respond. That's what Alex was talking about with negotiation. Sometimes schools will, you never know what their situation is. So maybe they're looking for more students, they're down in applicants, and they get, I'll just say, more desperate as the enrolling deadline, May 1st deadline, comes about, and they may start throwing more money at the student. So it doesn't hurt, especially if the student's not wild about the package. It may be a burden to ask for if there's anything more that the school can do, and to wait just a little bit. The demonstrated interest thing that Alex was talking about by visiting a school is really important and can get students more money, as can online engagement. So this sounds creepy and Big Brother, but schools track which emails are opened and which links are clicked. And if students do that, then that's another key for demonstrated interest. So that student is reading about us, that student's learning about us, they're more likely to come here, and they may get more financial resources. I would say just a word here about good debt and bad debt. There's good debt, in which that money will help you make more money in the future. So that can be college. Having some debt for college is normal, and it can lead you to have a more prosperous career. Same with starting a business. It can be good debt, bad debt. Bad debt's usually credit card debt. It can be college debt if it's overwhelming. So that's just each student's particular case, but it's not always worth it to go to a higher education institution if your debt is going to be unmanageable. So that's a really tough conversation, but important to have with students. So to set them up for their future, financial future. Okay, now we're gonna not ignore the people who are in college now, but we're gonna talk about first-gen students in college. And this also applies to high school coaches, because I'm sure you'll keep tabs on your students once they go to their institutions. But there's some things that first generation students tend to struggle with more in college than continuous gen students. Can anybody think of something, or you work with students and you see this more with first generation students?
You have to remind them that they have to apply for their classes, you know, whenever the schedules open up. They don't know, they think it's like high school and that somebody's going to schedule these things for them and they just flow right through it. You actually have to be like, no. Have you applied for your classes? They're like, I'm supposed to do that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's part of the process. So that's why I'm grabbing you. So
Great. Oh, they're lucky to have you. Yes. And I think somebody else reiterated that first gen don't have the experience of what to do when. Yeah. So it really does take, especially in that first year, walking them through the process. And yes, you know, you do have to fill out the FAFSA again. I'm sorry. And reminding them of that stuff. So Cheryl has something, it looks like.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I was thinking about how managing their resources from the financial aid package. For example, you know, don't go out and, you know, blow a whole lot of money on some big thing for your dorm room or something, and how to kind of, you know, set up a budget and those basic things for how you'll utilize that package.
Yeah, great. So personal finance education is fantastic, and how to budget and whatnot. Also looking for resources in the college. So for instance, we have a textbook loaning library, and textbooks can be outrageously expensive in college. So helping students look for their textbooks early. They can sometimes check them out of the library for free. That sort of thing. And to buy used, you don't have to buy new textbooks. And that sort of thing can really save them a lot of money. Great. Anything else you all see with first generation students who are in college that may be helpful for them, or just to acknowledge? Yeah, and EKU has free textbooks, which I think is fantastic.
some first generations they don't understand that they can transfer on to university. Where I'm at a community college, some people who are first gen are actually low income as well. So they don't know the options that are beyond a 2-year institution, and then they can go on to a 4-year institution. It's kind of like where you all was talking about, they don't understand the difference in first gen, you know, because they think if their parents completed at this institution, then they possibly are not first gen, and we have to explain that, but they just don't know their options and how to go about navigating that. So
yeah, and that's exactly true. And there are options with a lot of things. So helping to make that clear. One of the things we did many years ago is we came up with a center glossary, and any school can do this. And we just include terms like registrar and office hours, as well as like slang that we have around campus about different areas, or little cutesy names of this or that or the other, because we don't want to make assumptions that students understand automatically what these things mean. I've also found that the word grant, so on college application packages, financial aid packages, some amounts are listed as grant. A lot of students I work with think that they have to pay that back, that word grant, and that makes sense. So if their parents or guardians aren't in the world of grants and writing grants or getting grants, how would they know? So to help not assume that students understand the lingo. And some great resources for textbooks, which is huge. Yeah, to check with friends who have books. Something else for those of you working in college settings, it can be really difficult for students, lots of students, but I think particularly first-gen students, to straddle the fence of different identities. And so be a student at this college and then go home and sometimes get a hard time from siblings for going to college and, wanting to come back and bring what they've learned and share what they've learned. And sometimes that's celebrated and sometimes it's not. It's just a weird straddling to do for a lot of people. Alex, do you have anything you want to say about that?
Oh yeah, my first year I had to have conversations with my parents about boundaries, and that was really difficult. I think the main thing, and I absolutely love my parents, but they put a lot of pressure on me to succeed. And they kept talking about how their plans for the future revolved around my success and like my plans. And that was just way too much for me. And I think a lot of first generation students kind of shoulder that weight too. And I think it's just good to, acknowledge that and kind of talk through like the process of how they can address that with their family and how they can work through that extra stress. Family is amazing. Always rely on family, lean on family, but every once in a while it can be a stressor.
Yeah, and an interesting thing I found during the COVID pandemic is a lot of students I worked with said it was helpful to be home in this sense that their families got to see how much they were working. So families just didn't realize that students were incredibly, incredibly busy. And so that helped them develop a little more empathy when the students went back to school. That, yeah, sometimes they can't talk on the phone and they are really busy and working hard. So Mindy wrote asking for help and accessing office hours and career services. Exactly true. It can be really daunting to get that ball started, to have those first few conversations with faculty members one-on-one. So it can take a lot of encouraging, a lot of reassuring that, yeah, they're there for a reason. And most schools don't admit people who they don't think will graduate. So sometimes I have to remind students, centers, you wouldn't have been admitted if you couldn't do the work, because that's a gamble most colleges don't want to take. They want high retention rates. So just reassuring them they can do it, following up with talking with faculty members. So encouraging that and then following up, how did it go? To kind of give them a little bit of accountability with that can help. So Nathan is leading us into, also tutoring is huge. I tell the students I work with that the best students, the most successful students use tutoring, not usually the students who are failing. It is a real strength to use that resource. Great tip. So I'm going to throw it over to Alex, which we're going to talk about the first gen student as that. So the student has gotten college down, they're getting ready to graduate, and then what?
Yeah, so it might be easy to assume that like they got into the college, like they were successful in college, they graduated, like they're fine from there. But the process of figuring out grad schools or even jobs or opportunities after college is just as stressful, if not even more overwhelming than applying to school in the first place. So I think as a first generation student, probably the most important thing is really relying on built-in networks that most colleges and organizations like already have. Like for example, Center has like a massive like alumni network that you could access, and you can see like what careers that alumni are doing, and you have contact information. Most other colleges have systems like that, or they at least have an office that is devoted to student success after college, or keeping alumni relations. Even an alumni relations office might have a lot of great information that might be super beneficial. And yeah, that the networking piece is the most essential piece for that. Just talking to other first generation alumni and like seeing what they're doing, how they were able to, succeed. Because the grad school process can be like really foreign, and it's a lot different. It's a lot more different than just applying to normal college in a lot of ways. It can be a lot more stressful. So I think it's just really important to also acknowledge that they need support with that, and to find those networks and those sources of information to help them out. And I think the other big piece here is, yes, like personal finance is important in college, but especially when you're starting to graduate and go out into, the job field, the personal finance piece becomes so much more essential. And I think, especially for like the college mentors, having some type of focused education on personal finance and how to best, prepare yourself for grad school, and, even setting yourself up for like a retirement plan and doing all that is like really essential. And it really helps out with the stress levels. Would you have anything to add on that, Sarah?
Yeah, I think retirement is huge, whether people are going to grad school or a job. And that may sound really weird to talk about with very young people, but here's the time to plant a seed, to let people know, like I thought as a student, you had to be rich to invest, or things like that, but really investing makes people rich more often. So just helping them understand when they do have the resources available to do things like that, it's an option for them. Helping them understand how to take advantage of their company's retirement plan, and especially if it's matching, how to lease an apartment, how to buy a car, how to be wise about those things instead of go wild because you have some money for maybe the first time. So it's really, really important to talk about developmentally what practical financial education is coming up for them. And that helps all students too. And one plug I'll give: information that helps first-gen students usually helps everyone too. So to open it up to other students, if you're able, it's a really nice thing. So we're coming near the time where we need to go to our next meeting here, but I have a few minutes and just want to open it up if there's any questions, if there are any questions people have, or anything else you want to touch on that we didn't cover that relates to first generation students.
It's Bob. What do you do to help with students once they leave high school over the summer to keep them engaged and actually enroll at your schools?
That's an excellent question. I can speak for Center, but I'm curious what other people do, because when students enroll and then drop out over the summer, that's called MELT. And every school is concerned about that, not only for their numbers, but for the individual students, I hope. So we have at our school a lot of communication over the summer and engagement with the Grissom program. We have Big Brothers and Big Sisters. So every incoming student has an upper class student who is their big. And then it's grown to that student's big brother, big sisters, their grand big and great grand big. And so it's become a kind of a thing. But they reach out as another connection point. So students may feel more comfortable talking with a current student than an older person like me. So I think just, I try to reassure students, there's no question that's too small. And I'm sure there are questions or concerns you all have now, and just normalize that, because for anybody, it's very stressful taking on that big life change. And so Gregory says, what about students who are undecided on a career? I've found that very few 18-year-olds know what they want to do. And that's one of the reasons that liberal arts schools tend to have a higher 4-year graduation rate than 6-year graduation rate that other schools have, because understandably students will switch majors. And at a liberal arts school, they have the flexibility. They don't have to declare a major until the end of their sophomore year. One thing with first-gen students as well is explaining liberal arts schools don't mean politically liberal. So sometimes I'll run into students who equate those and they have nothing to do with one another. So helping them understand those things that we may take for granted.
To address that question a little bit on the other side of it, like when you're graduating, so if you have like a graduating senior who doesn't know what they want to do, the main thing, I almost fell into this trap and I had to have a guidance counselor tell me no, is I was just going to apply to grad school and kind of figure it out as I went to grad school. Like that's like the worst thing you could do. If you're going to go to grad school, you absolutely have to know that like that's what you want to do. That's what my career is going to be focused on. Like this money that I'm putting in and this time that I'm putting into this is going to be going towards my future, my career. Because I think a lot of students feel this pressure to just immediately apply to grad school after they graduate. When a lot of times just getting a job and like taking time to think about like what you want to do with your life and that space from education, it's really important. It can save you a lot of money in the long run if you end up going to a grad school and doing something that you're not passionate about. So I think that's probably the biggest piece on the other end of it.
And Lisa mentioned something really important, which is internships. That can really help clarify for students what they enjoy and what they don't enjoy. So that can be really, really helpful. Yeah, and even, students can get discouraged. They'll go to an internship and they're like, oh, I do not want to do this. And they'll say, great, well, now you know, that's a good thing. I'm sorry you had a bad experience, but that is a good thing that you don't pursue this career. And the concept of networking, we know how important it is to talk with people and make those connections. And networking has kind of gotten a slimy connotation, like you're sucking up. I really try to explain it to students as it's just reaching out to people, and you can have you can be beneficial to that person as well. So it's not a one-way street. And also I frame it to students often as, if you're just going to pick somebody's brain or ask how they like their career, that's much easier than saying, as students think, oh, can you get me a job? Having those conversations are really difficult, but talking with someone in a career field in which you're interested and picking their brain, like people like talking about themselves. So to encourage those students to have those conversations, it's learning more. And guess what? It's also networking. And, but that can be a dirty word sometime. So I just encourage students to talk with people and get their advice mainly. And then you have a connection that you can keep up. Okay, well, once again, if we can help any of you, please feel free to reach out, or if you have ideas that you think could help our students, we're always open to, trying new things. So we really invite that as well. And thank you for having us.
Thank you, Sarah and Alex. Does everybody want to unmute briefly and give them a round of applause?
Thanks, you all. Keep up the good work, everybody.
And I know you guys have to go, so feel free to log off. Everybody else stay on, though. We have some more. So bye, Sarah. Bye, Alex. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you again.
Well, now we are going to break out into our ambassador groups and have a little bit of discussion. So we will probably have not a huge amount of time for discussion, maybe 10 or 12 minutes or so. Shelley has a lot of announcements that we save for the end. So we want to give her time to make sure that we get important information to you. But we're going to put you in your ambassador groups. I will share that list in case you're not sure who you belong to. So what we're going to do is I'm going to open up the groups. They're named by ambassador, and you choose your own ambassador group. So give me 1 second to get that in the chat. So there's going to be a link in the chat with hold on, sorry, with the Google Sheet that everybody has access to, or should, I hope. And you can find yourself and who your ambassador is. And then we are going to try to discuss some of these questions. We may not have time for all of them, but what surprised you from this conversation? What new fact or idea did you learn? How do you connect with first gen students? I know that was discussed kind of in the beginning, but there may be some ideas that didn't get out there. How can you use this information to support your students? And then finally, also, what questions do you still have about first gen students? And ambassadors, if you are able to, on that last question, keep track of those questions and stick them in the chat when you come back, we can keep track of that and try to help get some of that information out. So I'm going to open up the, maybe I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. There it is. Sorry, it disappeared on me. I'm going to open up the rooms. You have to choose which one. So go to your ambassador group. College level coaches, you are also assigned an ambassador team, so you should be on here. And then if you have any questions.
Mandy, we do not have access.
That is so strange. You should have access.
It has a request access, and then it says we'll get an email from you.
Huh. It shows that everybody should have it, but I'll request it and I'll just give you all access slowly but surely.
Yeah, Marsha, what is your email?
Oops.
I have two, but the one I'd like to use is MNODEEN0001@kctcs.edu.
Okay.
I'm working through these slowly. Sorry. I don't know why it says that you all should have access. So, but I'm sharing again. And then once you know, just go ahead and go into your breakout rooms.
So Marsha, you are with Ashley.
Right.
Okay. Megan, you are with Gregory. Who else doesn't know?
Mindy, I don't have a breakout room yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't see any breakout rooms.
Oh, it says it's open.
Me either.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know who mine is either.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm gonna
we'll get there.
Request has been sent, but I'm not getting no email approval, so.
David,
Yes,
you're
I'm-
Rachel Frisbee. I mean,
Cheryl?
not Rachel Frisbee, Rachel Bethany.
Cheryl
Rachel
Scott,
Bethany.
I don't have it either.
Okay, I'll get you.
Thanks.
You're Gregory.
Kelly,
Cheryl
did you tell me
Scott.
mine already?
Yep, I will. You're Rachel Bevins.
Okay.
This is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. It didn't happen like I was supposed to at all.
Okay, I got it. Let's see.
Yeah, this is Cheryl. I don't have, when I
Hey.
opened the Excel, I don't have anything about breakout rooms on there.
No, it's not on the, it's not on this Excel
Mindy?
sheet, it's in Zoom. So the
Mindy, I
breakout-
found it.
Okay,
go
If
back.
they go,
Thank
if
you.
they go look at more,
Who
which
am I
is right
supposed to
next to
be
the leave
partnering
button,
with?
and if they click on more, it says join breakout room, and then they choose their person.
yeah, so the spreadsheet is just to find out who you're joining, and then you'll want to go join that. And I'm trying to help assign.
How do you get to a breakout room with them?
I
More,
can't see the break. I can't can't see the sheet, so I just need to know who I need to
Yeah,
join.
you don't need the sheet. If you go to, there's the word more all the way on the right by leave, down at the bottom. When you click on more, then it has a link. It says join breakout room, and then you get a list.
I don't see the word.
Right.
Don't
but
worry, I
who's
assigned
the
you.
person on the
Don't
list?
worry. Tabitha, I've already assigned you. Just accept it.
Okay, okay, I see it.
Gotcha. Hello.
Okay, we're getting there slowly. Let's see. I'm
David,
searching
do you
for
see
names.
yours?
No.
Rachel? So when you go to the more button, do you see that?
Where's the more button at?
Right by
This is
the
my
leave
first time
button.
using Zoom.
That's okay, yep, right by the leave
guys.
button.
Okay,
So
beside the
we-
leave button?
Yep, it says more with 3 dots on top.
No, it just says leave.
Oh, you don't have like whiteboards, apps, reactions.
I got whiteboards and reactions. Okay, wait. Maybe I was supposed to, I'm an idiot.
You are not.
It said breakout rooms and I was waiting for more. I was looking for more, even though there was a little,
There you go. You're
Well-
good.
Rachel, here I come.
All right,
iPad,
David.
is that Lynn again? Lynn, is that you on iPad? I think so. So we just need,
David, what you need? You're on mute.
okay. David-
Finally, now, I'm not sure how to get to the room.
You should just accept it. I just assigned it, so it should say something like go to room or something. and
Okay, cool. I
accept
see it
that.
now. Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you.
I
Yeah,
don't
no
know.
problem.
Yeah, I have no idea why that didn't work.
So I have a quick question that was brought up. So Kahala had a course student that recently passed away due to an automobile accident. And he wants to make sure, should he keep her as a course student
Ooh.
moving forward or discontinue her?
I have no idea.
Karen, any thoughts? I say keep her because it shows you work with her if we discontinue her, but I don't know.
The only, yeah, like part of me says, and I have to think this through. So what we don't want is any communications going to her. Even though somebody may not see it or whatever, it's just out of respect. Because even my sister still gets stuff from Gateway, about her daughter, and it's very hurtful. So that's what we want to avoid. However, we want to also show that she existed, right? That she was a person in this, and I'm not trying to be all philosophic or whatever, but there's like 2 sides of it. So I don't know enough about America Learns, I think, if we keep her, like, I don't think that we're really necessarily using it as a communications tool. So I just don't want things going out to the students' email.
So could we find out? So we had to put back our America Learns meeting till next week, but we're meeting with them next week. I can add it to the issue.
Yeah.
Shelley, if you can find out the name of the school and the student, then I'll ask them what we should do to be able to stop communications. You said it was Kahala, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll ask Gail too. I'm sure this has come up before.
But there's probably, I'm guessing there's something in the system that can keep them there, but stop, like not deactivate it, but in a way that stops communications and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like for Gateway, it's this deceased button, right? And so it
Yeah.
shows up as deceased, but when they run their communications, they don't say, exclude those
Exclude
that are
deceased.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So when my great grandfather died, I remember this, my great grandma was spicy, and they'd call and be like, can I speak to to speak to her husband? And she'd just say, he's dead.
Yeah.
and then hang up, like to make them feel bad. Like it just never there. It's so hard to like disconnect somebody from lists and servers and stuff, but there must be something. So if we can find out the name, then I can ask them and they can show me how to do it. And that can be, I can keep track of that so that we can do it in the future if unfortunately that happens again.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I see you're adding it now. I'm sorry. I was going to add it and I was working on an email and all sorts of things. And Shelley, I've reached out to all of those that are not on and have a variety of reasons. So one thing that I can see, we could discuss this at a later time, but
I can go ahead and add it right now. So Amanda, let's see, was it Amanda? Well, Amanda Arnaudo, we didn't add her yet, so we just need to add her back. So I didn't even put her on the list. It's not her fault.
Okay, I can text her and ask her if she's able to join, because I probably removed her from the invite.
Yeah, I think I did too. So that's okay. What about Amber Peoples?
Yeah, she's on a field trip.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We've had a few people enter, so those might be people that I've texted. Yeah, Hunter, okay, and Brittany.
Oh, Brittany's on?
Yeah, so they're just now joining.
And Hunter is on. Great. Great. Erica Elliott was one. Oh, and Brittany's here. Hi, Brittany. And Hunter.
No, Erica wasn't here. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I don't know. She usually comes, so my guess is she has something going on.
So Hunter, we're going to put you in a breakout room.
Just to come. Well, I think we're going to pull them back in a second.
Oh, okay. And then am I next doing everything?
Yeah, we'll have them report back briefly. So maybe at like 11:10, 11:12, we'll get you started. That will give you a few extra minutes. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll start pulling them back if I can do that. That is not. Where's my breakout stuff? Okay.
And Hunter, like I said in the text and email, we are recording this session, so we will send that out to you for what, the things that you missed. So, but we're so happy you're here.
Yeah.
Hunter, I saw the picture of you and Megan. That's so cool that you guys ran into each other.
Yeah, I didn't see her, but she saw me and she was very bold when going across the room. So it was great seeing her.
That's so much fun. I'm so glad.
It's always good to see a familiar face.
Yes, it is.
It's the boys. The boys are back.
Ryan, everybody missed you. And Victor, we talked a lot about you. All wonderful.
I was going to say, I hope it was good things.
I was going to say, you scared me whenever you said that you guys were talking about us. I was like, oh, geez. I was like, I can only imagine.
Yeah, don't miss again.
I wasn't going to let her forget about you. Don't worry.
If you miss, we make up things about you. That's how it goes. We'll make up a story. That's
pretty fair. I'll give you that. That's fair.
I
guess.
And you get assigned extra work.
No,
so we'll give you your list after the meeting.
I guess Ryan and I deserve that.
Yeah, a little bit.
You guys had good reason.
I was bedridden with the flu, so I guess I earned that one.
Okay, we have still a lot to do. So I want, now that everybody's back, I'd love for a couple people to unmute. We don't have time for a lot, but a couple people to unmute to share anything that was a great conversation you had in your ambassador groups or something you'd like to share with the rest. Also feel free to throw things into the chat if we don't have time, because we will pull some of this conversation from the chat and share a document with everybody so that you can add to it or we can add questions. So Ambassadors A, if you have any questions, outstanding questions, please throw them in the chat. But also, if there were things that you talked about that you really want the other groups to hear, please throw it in there. However, I'd love for a couple people to unmute and share. I hear somebody's unmuted. I'm going to make them share. Oh, Annette, she's not even at her seat.
I'm sorry. My day is always fulfilling. I had to run around to the other side. So I missed that. What did you say?
Nothing. I asked somebody to unmute to share, and then and then you were unmuted and there was nobody there.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be unmuted. But in our group, Emily was saying that it kind of opened her eyes about working with first gen students. And Emily, you want to help me out?
I was just saying, like, I kind of treat my first gen students the way I treat all my other students. Like, I don't have a different approach with them. And like, it made me sort of think maybe I should. But then on the other side, like she said, what's good for first gen students is kind of good practice for all of our students. So it's like, maybe if we just treat all of our students at that first gen level, then they'll all be getting really good counseling and coaching.
Thank you, Emily. Now I'm unmute.
Anybody else? We have time for one more, and then we're going to turn it over to Shelley.
I think in our group, I think Harley made a good point. I mean, like, if you just sit back and think about it, like, it's almost 2023. And like Harley made a good point. I mean, with all the advances that we have, like, it's kind of a shock that like a lot of this information isn't being, I guess, promoted or like passed out in the right like channels of media. But I think that's one thing that I try to do is like, I mean, like Murray State is just down the road, and Western Kentucky Community and Technical College sends us a lot of information. So, and it's kind of on Emily's point too, is just trying to treat everybody like as if they're first generation, just giving them the materials that we have readily available, and materials that we have access to all the students, because even though they may not be necessarily first generation students, a lot of them may have certain assumptions, or they may think that they know something when in reality they don't. And you know, whether that's bringing the colleges in or just having flyers and such, it really opens their eyes to what they thought they knew but they didn't really know.
Great, thank you. Okay, we are going to, there are some more things in the chat, and I'll let you guys catch up on that, but I actually, again, will put the chat and kind of organize it into something to share with everybody. So Shelley has a lot of important information to share. So if you'll take a break from well, you can still type things in the chat, but take a break from reading it, because we want to make sure everybody gets all of the information Shelley has for us. She has a lot of announcements and kind of information. So Shelley, take it away.
Awesome. Carmen, I don't know the answer to your question. We can look it up, but Karen, Mindy, does anybody know?
Was that the question about the voting and
yes,
we're here? I mean, typically speaking, I mean, if you are not, you know, promoting any particular candidate or platform, I don't think it should be a problem, because, you know, you're just there, I mean, exercising your right to vote, and we want people to vote. So just with that in mind, I would say that it wouldn't be a problem. But if you are doing any kind of campaigning or promotion of one particular candidate or platform, then I would say definitely not. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay, so this is some great, you guys are sharing a lot of great information. So I hope you guys are kind of following the chat and copying and pasting. And Rachel, thank you for taking the lead on that too. So let us know when you get yours completed. Maybe for the December meeting, we can chat about that. Okay, so I'm going to do some rapid fire here. I'm going to try to share my screen, but let's see, this is it. Okay. Hopefully you all can see this. Can you all see this? Hold on. This parent camp? Okay, thank you. So parent camp is just a resource we want to throw out there to you. I've been involved with parent camp for maybe 2 years now. It's virtual, and I join as a business and as a parent, and I'm always learning something. So there is an event tonight. It's 8 o'clock. It's all virtual. You come and go. It's super casual. You can, whatever, have kids run around, just be on mute, but a lot to learn. So follow that. It's in our newsletter that we sent out yesterday. Make sure you sign up for the news reports that you get, and there's a whole lot of cool things that come out of that. So I just want to make sure it's a nonprofit. It's just a couple of moms that got together throughout the state that pulled their resources together and just share things. Just like we had said, I see it a lot in the chat, and Victor had mentioned, it's just, we just need to keep sharing our resources. Any questions on that? And it's free, so share it with your families. The college guy is going to be on there tonight, so he's always got great information to share. So try to think about that.
So sorry.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff do they like share? Because I'm trying to get resources for families of first gen students right now for like work. Is this something that you think would be helpful for that?
I think so. It's all bases. They cover just about everything. But what you can do is Julie Pyle is actually a local person here in Northern Kentucky, and she kind of leads this work. You can even go to like where it says like our team. You can send her an email. This is Julia or Julie. She goes by either, which is funny. But anyways, you can just reach out to her and say, I would like more information on first gen, and they'll make it happen. She's so accommodating. And I think they do it quarterly. They used to do it monthly, but there were some changes. But just reach out to her and let her know, because she really wants to hear, and she understands what we're doing and wants to make sure that we're helping her get the right materials. So great question, Jake. Okay, so then the other thing I wanted to share was our business cards. So I will, can you see this link? Business cards, like a spreadsheet. Someone nod their head, please.
Yes.
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'll send all this in an email update, but we just want to make sure, like some of our folks are pending. Obviously, David just started, so he doesn't have an email yet. But we want to make sure that if you want a business card, that you have your email and your phone number on here, your work phone. You don't want your personal phone, and then your school address. So I'll send that out as an update. If you don't want them, no problem. Just giving you the option, and we will purchase those for you. And I'll send this link out again. Any questions about business cards? All right, keep it moving. The next is our supply budget. Can you see this Excel form? Okay, Cheryl, somebody, yes, no.
Yes.
Hunter,
Shelley.
thank you.
Yes, indeed. You're welcome.
Cheryl,
my
I'm just
dear.
going to count on you because I'm
Okay,
trying
I'll
to
say
read the
yes.
room. Okay, so you should have all got this. It's important that you put your name, your school, and your school address, because everything will be mailed directly to your school. When you fill this out, you're going to put, like, if you wanted a weekly planner, you're just going to put 1 and automatically adds that for you. Pencil sharpener, 1, whatever. You just kind of go down the list. If something is not on here, and again, I'll send this out in an email, you can go to Amazon and say, I want this poster board kit. And you would just put poster board kit in there, poster board kit, the price, the number of items, and then the link. Just copy and paste the link right there. That way, Megan, who's actually making all these purchases, can just go right in and purchase what you need. You can also use this link on, let me close this out, on this page, the AmeriCorps gear page. There's 2 gear pages, and that gets confusing. But this is the AmeriCorps. So if you wanted to order, sanitizers, and you want to order 50 of them for your students to pass out, you can order through this too. You would just do the same thing, just put how many and put the link in there. You may not want to order t-shirts. That's a lot of money. This isn't for you. These shirts are not for you. These are for students, because you also have linked to another store for your stuff. This is really for students, things that you want to give students. So you can kind of look through this website. And again, I'll send all this out in a nice email. to add to your $100 supplies, because you only get 100. Now, some people have submitted them and they might have like $30 left. You have up until April 30th to spend that money. So if you decide, I only want this right now, but later I'll need that, you can purchase that later.
Shelley,
If
can you
you-
share that link? I'm sorry I didn't mean to
Yep.
interrupt, but I've never seen this before. I was not aware of this. So
Yeah,
can
I
you
sent
share
it
the link?
out. It looks a little different, but I sent it out the last time saying like, hey, good news, you get a supply budget. So I'll resend it all again.
Thank you.
But things are expensive. You can see, I mean, sanitizers are cheap, but it is kind of what it is. Cheryl.
Yes, thanks, Shelley. I'm looking at the KCC contact list Excel sheet. And there's a column that asks for your KCC email work. And then the column next to it asks for KCC phone. Is that my work phone number or my personal phone number?
That's a great question. That's kind of up to you. Some people want, we can put a separate column in there because some people in our ambassador groups use that for their group chats on their phone. So we can add a second one. If you think that would be helpful, what do you all think?
I'd rather I guess you're kind of saying it's up to us. I guess I would make another column, Shelley, because then they'll have both numbers.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll work on updating that. Great question. Okay. So yeah, again, Carmen, I will send all this out. It looks a little different than the other one, but it's the same information. And then if you get like a stapler or tape or a pencil electric pencil sharpener, make sure you label it KCC so that it stays with the next person. We want to make sure everything stays that can be used for the next person or for you next year or however that's going to work. Just so we get everybody kind of supplied up and ready to go. Okay. Any other questions about the supplies?
Yes, how exactly would I? You said that apparel would be.
Well, there you go. Try it again.
You said that apparel would be a part of our budget, right? So say if I want to get a backpack and poster board, how would I,
So what you would do is order just poster board. And then when I get to the next part, I'll send you a link to our actual, and I'll show you it's right here. This is actually the gear store that you purchase from. So you can go to this gear store and you can purchase whatever you want. And you have $70 to use for that. Ooh. Yes. Now, sounds like a lot, but things are expensive. But if you didn't get a backpack, David, or a messenger bag, we will give you one of those.
Yeah, I haven't got one yet.
Okay, you'll get one. You just started. Okay. So for those that are new, you will get a backpack or a messenger bag. So don't order that. So this is separate from your supplies. So this $70 is solely for you to buy your t-shirts, your sweatshirts, whatever you might want. There's a whole lot of things, but you have $70. I think many people purchase them and we are waiting to hear back about when they're going to send them. I think we all probably sent our purchases like a month ago and we're still waiting for those to get delivered. So as soon as we get word on that, we will certainly let you know.
Okay, can you send the link in chat?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can send you that link in the chat and then I will send you all of this. I can send all the links in the chat too, but well, maybe it's hard because I'm sharing a screen. So give me a minute on that.
Okay, I got it.
But it'll all come out in email, very detailed. So you'll have it all.
And I do have another question. Kind of for everyone in here, from where my program's new and I'm looking for kids to bring into my program. Is there any way that y'all could send me maybe a PowerPoint and introduction thing to talk about what I'm doing, whatnot, if y'all have it handy? If not, I can make my own, but it'd be real handy if, you have one that you've already used and you can give me a handle on.
And David, I can send one that that's been shared with me, but then anyone else that wants to share what you've done, that would be great too. But I'll send that out to you. I just made a
Yeah.
note to do that.
I'll take it.
Good. I'm
Awesome.
kind
Thank
of-
you.
Sorry. I'm kind of in the same boot. There hasn't been one since the first of Kentucky Compact. So like if you need advice, I'm still learning also, but feel free to reach out.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll just put my email in chat. And if y'all have anything for me, just feel free to send it.
Yeah, if you can send that to Karen, Karen will send that out to all of us. So great question.
David,
Okay.
you do have access to our Google Share Drive, right?
Who, me?
So we are going, so here's the point with that. So what we're going to do is he doesn't know that all the way yet because he just started. So what will happen is on our next piece, I'll skip here to the next one, is orientation. So we have orientation November 3rd from 9 to 12. During that orientation, you will get access to your Google Drive with all of this information, David. And then we'll also discuss with you all about, if you can see my screen now, under our website, if you go to, and I can't move this around. If you go to KCC resources, you will see that there are some things you can access here. But in the meantime, especially our archive newsletters. But in the meantime, David, during that orientation tomorrow, you will get access to the Google Drive and learn more about how to navigate that. Also, with that being said, we know there's been some changes to the Google Drive. And so our plan is next month during our monthly meeting is to really go over that. So everybody has an understanding on where to find documentation. So that will be coming soon. So if you want, I think I already said this, but just in case, if you want to attend the orientation, even if you've been here a while, but you think I might benefit from this, you can put your name in the chat and or just email Karen and she can forward you that invite. But
When is
highly
it again?
recommend it. Go ahead. Who
What
was talking?
day is it?
No,
Sorry.
it's tomorrow. Or wait, November 3rd is tomorrow. Yep.
It is tomorrow.
Yep. 9 to 12.
Okay.
It's virtual.
And for the college level coaches, there is quite a bit of information about the high school coaches in that orientation. So you're welcome to attend it. But especially if you want to find out more about what the high school level coaches are doing, but if you're a college level coach and you feel like you need another orientation, please let me know and I'll, if you'd rather have a shortened one that focuses on the college level, let me know and I'll help you with that.
Then, okay. So, okay, thanks Karen for putting that on there. All right, so the next thing, talked about Gear Store, you have $70. If you haven't purchased anything from August to now or made a purchase, you can please do so. The mini grant. Okay, so the mini grant information, if you go under, we'll just do this, under our resource tab, under our website, you scroll down, pick the newest newsletter there, October 1st. You can kind of scroll down and see what's in there. I hope it's in here. I thought it was. Of course it's not. Is it in here, Karen, and I'm missing it?
I'm sorry, Shelley,
It's
what are
in
you
there.
looking for? I apologize.
The mini grant.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, okay.
If you go
well,
to the November one, it's
Yes.
in there in other news.
Okay. So it wasn't in the October for some reason, and I could have swore it was, so I must be overlooking it.
I think it was on the October 15th one, and that hasn't been uploaded into the website yet,
Okay. That's why.
but it is in the last two.
Would it be
Yeah.
helpful for me to share my screen because I have it pulled up, or no?
Sure.
Okay.
But check your emails, and like Karen said, if you're not getting the Coach's Corner newsletter, let us know and we will make sure we get it to you. And here's the link to the mini grant. So you simply just click that and you'll fill out a Google form on how to complete the mini grant. We've had 3 submissions so far, and we reviewed 2 of them yesterday, and we sent our comments back. Most, they've been really great. We just need a little bit more detail on your grant. The biggest thing to remember about the mini grant is that your school pays it up front and then invoices us, and then we reimburse your school. So that's one of the most important things you need to make sure that your school is aware of. And you can use these mini grants for college visits, career visits. You could go to a college and visit, and then in the afternoon go somewhere and visit, do a career tour. I'm trying to think what other people have used it for, but so far that's really what people have submitted it for.
And the college
then-
level folks can also apply for this. I announced this at the last month's meeting. If you'd like to chat about how that might work for you and your role, please let me know.
And Shelley, if you don't mind me saying, I heard something today from our presenters, that made me think of this grant, that they mentioned that there could be visit vouchers out there for some colleges. And so that's something that we could all check on too, to help save on cost and maybe use a bigger portion of the money for another sort of experience as part of this mini grant application. So what I mean, I remember hearing that today, and I thought, oh, that would be great, that maybe they can provide provide some of those costs too, to help make it an even better experience for students. So.
And those are some of the things when the committee gets together to review these mini grants that we'll probably say, hey, have you thought about, or have you? That way you can save your money and use your money for other things. Maybe it's buying all of your core students a padfolio or something, so that when they go to these career fairs, they look more professional. Or maybe you want to buy them all a t-shirt. I don't even know if that's possible. So put that on there. And we can help you out with doing that. Yes, David.
When did you say that the deadline for this grant was, or did?
November 30th. So great question. And we want to make sure that even if your event is in April or May, go ahead and submit it with an idea of this is what you want to do.
Okay.
We know things change. We know budgets change. But if we can have something, a placehold, that would be fantastic.
And
yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the link to this again? Like,
I'll send all this out in
sending it out.
one, yep.
Okay.
One giant email, so everybody has all the information. And Carmen, to your question, I have no idea. That's why we ask you to contact the school, and we would say, who's your contact? So there's somebody in this room, I won't call them out, but who has made a site visit, who's said, oh, I'm working with Jane Doe at EKU, and we've already established that this is going to happen, and we're in partnership, and that makes your grant even stronger. Yes. David.
Yeah, I just wanted to pass on some general info. One of the first things that I started looking into when I got here was taking a trip to Toyota. We have so many different programs in the technology building that, it applies to everyone. But unfortunately, they're still not doing tours. And if you go to their website, it says, and you look ahead to the calendar, it starts opening up after the first of the year. But I tried unsuccessfully to call and email and the whole 9 yards, and, to get some info ahead of time, but, basically I couldn't get anywhere with it. But one of the big things with them also is on the page, they specify an 8-to-1 ratio student to chaperone. So that's kind of a big deal, if you're talking about taking 100 kids or, whatever. So that's something to think about. So I just was going to pass that along to you guys in case anybody was thinking about them, about Toyota.
That's a great point. And David, if you need help reaching out to Toyota, I know you've done an amazing job with that. We can also step out and try to help too. So feel free to use us as a resource to reach out.
Okay,
we have
great.
some folks at the Kentucky Chamber that would probably be able to put a bug in our ear too. So we can make those connections.
Great.
Can I say something else I'm also working on, and it stalled for a little bit once Kyle left, but a spreadsheet of admissions contacts for all the colleges in Kentucky. So I'm about a third of the way through. So hopefully I can get started on that again next week. And once I have that done, I'll share it with all of you all so that you can reach out directly to the colleges and schools that are nearby or that you'd like to go with or go to visit. But hopefully that will be, fingers crossed, in the next week or two, I'll have that done. I did not put the college admissions deadlines. I don't have time for that. But if you guys,
sometimes those always change. So
Yeah.
like when you say like, no, not everybody charges for a visit, we're going to assume no, but every school is so different, just like you all know with your high schools, every school, every business. So we can develop these lists, but they're ever changing. So just know.
Yeah, I have never heard of a college charging for a visit. The vouchers specifically are for travel and food and to get people on campus. I'm doing visits with my son right now, and I haven't been on a campus or seen a campus.
Most of the time they don't.
Yeah, but I don't
always
know.
be
There might be
nervous of
some weird one out there that does,
Yeah.
and if they do, then don't go.
It's a hint, don't go.
Yeah, if they're charging you
Don't do it.
to get them students, then that's a bad sign. Yeah, red flag, Nathan.
Yes. Okay, so we talked travel. Okay, travel reimbursement. It is crazy, it is tricky, but in any organization, there are policies that we need to adhere to in order to meet the guidelines and policy that's set in place, especially through Northern University. So you submit your travel through the Excel form, which most of you have done, especially those who attended serve Kentucky. But we do need a screenshot of your Google Map or MapQuest, whatever you use, to show that your miles match what's on your Excel sheet. In some cases, I had to email people back and say, please, please do it. I tried myself to do the map, but it showed a totally different miles than what you put on there. So we just need to make sure it's a screenshot, it's a snipping tool. Some people took a picture of their computer and sent it as a document, totally fine. But we need both of those in order to do that. Additionally, if you pay for your own dinner on the night of the 26th, the Wednesday night, you can send a copy of your receipt and we can reimburse up to $18 for that. No alcohol. So just know that with the travel.
So Shelley, what if we lost the receipt on the way back? Because I thought I had it and I lost it.
Put that in your email. And then I will ask, I don't know. That's a tricky situation. Because with audits, they need to have that receipt. It's important, but we can ask and see what they can do. And you haven't got Phil's. Cooper, did you go to serve Kentucky?
Was that the one in EKU?
Yeah.
Or no? Yes, I went.
Okay. We can send that email out to you.
It was also included in the prep email that Shelley sent out to the high school coaches, Cooper. So if you received that, go back to her email, and it was in the list of things with a link to the form.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And all the details how to do it were on there too. We can send that out. It does take a while to get reimbursements back. I mean, there's a lot of us and we're part of a large university, so be patient with that. So the sooner you turn it in, the better. It just takes time. It is what it is. Is there anything else? Do you guys have any questions about any of that? It's a lot. I will send out one big email later this afternoon with all of those comments on it. Those who've already submitted your $100 supply grant, they are already in process of being purchased. So you should get those within a week or so.
Shelley, there is one more. If you went to the in-person training in August in Louisville and you still have not been reimbursed for travel but submitted something, then please let Shelley know. I think there were a handful last week that hadn't. Some people got paid last week and some people got paid this week. So if you're somebody who didn't get paid at all yet, let Shelley know so she can check in on it. Megan, Lentz, I know about yours, so you don't have to.
Okay, I was gonna say, I just emailed you today.
Yeah, so don't bother Shelley. I'm working on yours.
Okay, so I hope this is helpful. I know this is fast. Okay, Emily. Emily, do you mind emailing me? That would be super helpful on that. That would be great. So reach out if you're the high school. You can reach out to Karen or myself to help with these questions and things that I brought up. Yes, just check your bank statements, because we did have someone say, "Oh, I didn't get it," and then they look back and they're like, "Oh, I did. It was a while ago," or something. Things happen, so just double check your bank account.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So for the mini grants, could we use the $800 or a portion of the $800 for students who are applying to colleges and have to pay that application fee? And if they're applying to more than one college, just to save them money, or is that not allowed?
Well, that is a great question. So I would put it in there, but what I would come back to you is to say, call that school and say, I'm working with this student and we would like to know if we can waive the application fee. Because they are first generation low income, they're working through our program and they just don't have the funding. So I would encourage you to reach out to that school. And I think Susan, right, said it best today, just call them. Colleges want our folks, reason why they shouldn't charge for a visit, but definitely advocate for them first, because that will be our first come back to you, is to say, have you called the school and tried to arrange anything? And if they say no, then yeah, put it in the grant. We'll see what we can do. But remember,
gotcha.
Your school has to pay for it up front and then we reimburse. So schools paying for things can be very difficult and challenging because they have to go through all these steps. So just remember that too. I always tease, it was somebody in 1979 who bought a pencil and did something wrong with it. Now we have to go through all these rules about buying a pencil. It's absurd, but I get it. There's reasons and we just have to follow those rules. Thanks, Anna, for letting us know. Yeah, October 25th, that's a long time. So it's what it is, unfortunately. So email me about travel and I will look those up for the high school coaches. Okay. I know I went through a lot today. I only had 15 minutes. We went way over. So let me know what questions you have. Call me, email me, whatever you need, and we'll get you through all of this. So orientations tomorrow. If you want to go again, I think someone said that. Great. Join. Parent camp, sign up, business cards, $100 supply budget. Make sure you label your stuff, your personal gear store, and we'll find out more about when we're going to get those. The mini grants, travel. I think that's good. Any last minute questions? Are we all good?
Shelley, were we going to share the link for the survey today or not?
Oh, yes, we can do that. So you want to go ahead and talk about that real quick?
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to put real quick in the chat a link for a survey. And guys, this is just something that we want to know more about you and how you got connected with the College Coaches Program. And so we would just like, and it will help us with recruiting and just kind of knowing, who is interested in these positions, who's doing a great job, just so that, unfortunately we can't keep you guys forever. But, we want to be able to find more wonderful coaches like yourselves when the time comes. Whoop, I sent it just to Shelley. Let me try that again. So when you can, it should only take you a few minutes to fill out. Just please tell us a little bit about you, how you got connected with the program, and a little bit about your background, and what we're just trying to see kind of what was so appealing about this position as a college coach to you, so that we can kind of help with our messaging and our recruiting efforts in the future. So thank you so much.
Is there anyone that can actually email that to me? Because I'm traveling to a transfer event and I cannot do it right now.
I can put that on the big email. Well, actually, Karen, put that separate. That's a good idea.
I'll email it to you, Megan.
Thank you, guys.
It's going to be in the next newsletter too. So it's not something we have to have done today. So I will have it in the next newsletter as well. So thank you for that idea though, with the email.
Yeah. And Harley, no worries. There's a lot of new people, so you're not alone. And
Well, Shelley, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Lisa.
I have already submitted my 2 forms for the field trips, but I didn't know anything about the screenshot to the picture that you need from the distance. How do I go back and add that to the form, or can I just send that to you, or what do I need to do?
Yeah, for your mini grant, don't worry about that. We're good.
Okay.
That's more for when you actually ask for the reimbursement. We'll ask for that screenshot.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for staying late. I know we're 15 minutes over, but I think it was a good discussion today. There's lots of information to share. Please make sure that you're reading your newsletters. A lot of this information can be found in there. So if it seems like you don't know something, when we're talking about it, often it has been advertised there. And if you're not getting those, let us know so we can check into that. But other than that, have a great week. And we'll see you next time.